This is the ABQ Business Podcast
with your host, Jason Rigby.
Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit
That's in every entrepreneur.
discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems,
And the problems we can all solve together.
for a new future for local small business.
What is up, guys? Put my headphones on. I've got Casey in the house. How
Hi.
are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're going to talk about something. This is why I have this patch on. No, it's not I was joking with you that it's a huge nicotine patch. It's not that. But it is something that is wild. NAD plus therapy. What does the plus stand for?
It's got an extra positive charge to it.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. That sounds cool. So let's get into this because I know you have, first I want to start off, you have an infusion clinic
Yes.
that does this NAD plus therapy.
Right.
And
So we
let's
do
talk
it
about the,
as an infusion, but there's also a topical option, which we're kind of testing out on you.
yeah, no, that's cool. I love it. I like to be the guinea pig. So NAD plus therapy, you do it at the infusion clinic. Where's the infusion clinic here in Albuquerque?
It's on the corner of Wyoming and Osuna, and a lot of people think of Wyoming and San Mateo. It's much farther east off of where Academy and Wyoming meet. It's a little bit
so there's Whole
south of
Foods
that.
there,
Yeah.
and is it right near there?
We're we're like 2 blocks down, a little bit past the JCC on Wyoming.
Oh, okay, cool. Perfect. So what if somebody wants to do, they're thinking, okay, I don't understand this. So I'm going to make it kind of like if it's me trying to figure stuff out. So
Yeah.
what is
Stories are
NAD
always-
plus
always
therapy?
great.
Yeah.
So NAD is a substance that is in pretty much every cell of our body, and it helps to make ATP, which we're going to take you way back to high school chemistry if you remember the Krebs cycle and our mitochondria, and our cells have all these little mitochondria in them, has one mitochondria in them, and there are little power packs.
Right.
And so NAD you pretty much can't make ATP without NAD. So you have to have it in your cell. And as we age, it declines. And so that's kind of what we're combating. And probably one of NAD's biggest uses is an anti-aging product.
So people are using it because I know I listen to Joe Rogan all the time, and he does those NAD plus, and he has somebody that comes into the studio, and then he does them before he does shows and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But and I think it's like a nurse practitioner or something like that. But the NAD plus, the infusion side of things, because I have a patch, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the infusion side of things, how long does it take? Does it take a long time to do it, or?
Yeah, so when a patient comes into our clinic, and most clinics would do it this way, is where they're going to come in and they're going to do a 250 milligram dose. It's a half dose, and it'll take about 2 hours. And most people are kind of right on the money. And what happens during the infusion is that you get this strange, the best way to describe it is called the chest squeeze, but it hurts. And so you can't go too fast. And the very first time I ever tried to do an NAD infusion on myself, I could barely, I only got like 100 cc's in. I could barely tolerate it. It took me like 3 hours to get almost nothing in. Since then, I've been able to complete an infusion. So we do this test dose to start with to see if somebody can tolerate it at all or get an idea of how long the infusions are going to take.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's been playing a game with it. So
You're
he's
trying
down
to go
45
fast.
minutes. Yeah.
That is insane. So the full dose, well, the typical full dose, you can go up higher, but our full dose is 500 milligrams, and that takes over 4 hours. I just did an infusion on Friday, and it took me 3 hours and 45 minutes, like almost.
And you
to
did
the
500 milligrams?
The
of it?
500, yeah.
That's crazy. So I want to kind of get back into you said they're little battery packs, the mitochondria. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So in the cell, is it kind of like the engine too, or is it just holding the energy?
It's holding the energy. And so everything in our body is based on electrical differentials.
Right.
I mean, every twitch of our muscle, every beat of our heart is all based on positives and negatives in the differential. And those little power packs are no different. So basically, they're just like little battery packs, just waiting to be used.
And they're just, as we are slowly dying, basically, they just...
Great way of putting it, Jason.
Yeah, thank you. As we're slowly dying, everyone. So...
There's only one way out.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And we can prolong it a little bit, but no. But the battery's just depleting over time.
No, the battery, it keeps recharge. It's a rechargeable battery.
Oh, okay.
But we do know, so we don't know everything about NAD. There's lots of studies going on. It's always hard to study something that occurs naturally because there's not a lot of funding around it. It's not like a pharmaceutical that's synthetic that can be patented
Right.
and you can make a lot of money off of it. These natural substances, it's really hard to get funding. to study them in depth. And NAD's a victim of that, basically. And
so, what caused you to decide to put it in your clinic? I mean, was it like personal experience, or I know you have a doctor mentor that you talk with?
Yeah. So honestly, it was demand.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My initial clinic was all about just ketamine. And then we threw in some hangover IVs, and then we went into nutritional, and then we got one call after another about NAD. And I was like, fine, let me look it up.
And, but personally, it's helped you?
What I noticed the most, so anti-aging is kind of a funny business because
you're 127, right?
Yeah, I'm 127 years old. Yeah.
So it's helped.
It works. So aging is funny because you do something and it costs money, and you're like, well, I don't know, is it working?
Right.
Are my telomeres longer? Or are my sirtuins like activated? Like, you don't really know if the anti-aging is really helping, because some of the results can be subtle. But what I noticed the most with NAD, and I think I told you this, is exercise capacity. Like, I'm way more motivated to like run the extra 15 minutes or do sprints at the end of a run. I'm just more motivated to do more of that stuff, and I recover faster. So like, typically if I exercise really hard, like the next day, there's no way. And like, I know you exercise every day, but I can't. And so, but if I'm recently done an NAD, I'm like pretty ready to go the next day.
That's crazy. Yeah. So it, because it's replenishing, it's a battery, so it's replenishing.
It makes sense. Yeah.
That makes total sense.
More power packs.
So no matter what you're doing, it's going to sit there. And so I want to kind of get into maybe a little bit more deeply, because you gave me like these slides, which I don't understand. What is the name of NAD?
So you'll hear the term NAD.
This is like really hard to say.
Nicotinamide, adenine. I almost never say.
Yeah.
Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide.
Good.
I said
gracious.
that right.
Yeah,
so that's why we call
right.
it NAD. But NAD is a collective term. So you'll see NAD, you'll see the term NAD plus, and then you'll see NADH.
Oh.
But NAD would be encompassing NAD plus and NADH, and they're a couple. They're married, and they're an NAD plus and then NADH. They convert back and forth to each other, and they're basically donating electrons and a hydrogen ion, which is a positively charged, taking you back to high school science again, positively charged ion. And so they're basically donating those back and forth to each other. And remember, those electrical differentials are real key to how our body functions.
That's crazy. So because I want to like get a little bit more into this, especially when it looks at, and you gave me notes here, so it's so nice. You have a PowerPoint here.
Yes.
So how does it? You have a thing about metabolism, and so I wanted to kind of get a little bit, because you talk about energy, and I noticed for me doing this, especially doing the patch, as the one thing that's helped me is I don't want alcohol, and I know there's an addiction component to it too.
Yeah, so that's its other big use, is substance abuse. It definitely reduces cravings, and that includes food cravings. And so there seems to be a role in weight loss for NAD. It's just kind of hasn't gotten its feet under itself.
So if it's like late at night and you're craving Burger King or something,
yes, it helps with those.
That would help with that.
Sugar is known to activate the same area of your brain as heroin.
Right.
And so sugar is truly an addiction. I counsel a lot of my patients that way. When we get some tests back, I'm like, wow, you're eating way too much sugar, and I need you to decrease it because it's inflammatory. And at first it feels like they're coming off heroin, but it doesn't always feel that way. Eventually you get used to eating less sugar, and things that you used to love before are now too sweet. And so you adjust to these things. And so NAD can help with all cravings, but particularly substance abuse.
Yeah, I was in Costco today, and there was a couple, and they were like 400 pounds. Mm-hmm. And I just, looked in their cart, and they had masks on, and they were having a hard time walking. And it was like Rice Krispie treats, cereal, cookies, chips, it was just like everything that you could think that was candies, because all the Halloween candy's out. And before you do you could do these treatments and do everything else, but I think the number one thing would be to make sure that you're eating right and exercising.
Well, yeah, get your environment straight.
Yeah, and
nutrition straight.
With because I know you have the infusion clinic, but you also have the other clinic, and we have a lot of business owners that listen to this. Mm-hmm. This is now, if you're a business owner, or maybe let's say you are a part of your direct primary care. Mm-hmm. Now, is there a part of you could go in there because the infusion clinic and the direct primary care is together, right?
So
they could
under the
go in
same
there.
roof. Uh-huh.
They could go
They're
in
pretty
there
seamless.
and do an NAD treatment.
Yes, through the infusion clinic, there's no need to be a member.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of my members do infusions too.
Right.
It's their choice. We don't push it on them or anything, but it's certainly available, and it's the fastest way to the goal sometimes.
Yeah, because I know we just did a podcast on the Dutch hormone. I mean, this is the thing that's fascinating me with what you're doing, why it's so unique to, and we'll get back to NAD, but why it's so unique, I think, to any other type of primary care is that you're going like super deep into the levels. I mean, you're doing testing, you're seeing things, a lot of preventive stuff, seeing, like you said, where pathways are going this or that, and then you can block this and do this. And so it's really proactive to me. So I think this, especially on the infusion side of things, when you're looking at NAD, it's just another way to be proactive. But because I still don't, one of the things that I don't understand with it is how does it regenerate? Like, is it charging the battery? Because, I mean, you said it's a battery, but...
This is a really complex question, Jason. I don't think I can answer it.
No, but I mean, it's like when I'm sitting there thinking and I'm looking, and I was reading all the stuff that you had, and I get it, like it's a battery, but is the battery slowly depleting as we get older, and then it's recharging it? Well, I mean, we're using it back but I mean, is it allowing it to charge up faster? Is everything
NAD?
Going like, yeah, it's everything. Because I'm
like
picturing like these
skipping
little
steps.
engines.
You're
Yeah.
skipping steps.
Okay.
And the NAD is like a quick, like just bypass. It's a highway around a big
so it's
city.
it's like a body hack.
You would normally recharge by sleep and food.
Oh, okay. Right.
And NAD can kind of just bypass a lot of the steps necessary to get to the actual NAD.
That makes sense to me now. Now I get it. So instead of, like you were saying when you were exercising, that whole idea of you being able to get up the next day and exercise.
Yes, because I've bypassed the steps necessary.
So it's not like trying to sit there and eat protein and do all the, I mean, those things are good, but and then trying to do some like restorative stuff and, 10 hours of sleep and, waiting 2 or 3 days for your body to heal.
And
everything's
those are all
going to go
super
quicker.
important.
Right.
But as we age, it's an uphill battle. I think everybody is over 40 and me included. It's
right.
It's a losing battle, actually.
But the cool part is you don't have to lose so quickly.
Right.
That's the awesome part.
You can maintain.
So, because like we were talking the other day, and you were showing me something that had like, and we're kind of going a little bit off here, but that had a thing for like, you're like, this could potentially be cancer, and I was thinking
that'll
like,
be on your Dutch.
That'll be on the Dutch test, and I'm thinking like, we can predict these things now with a relative.
No, we can't really predict it, but this is one pathway to cancer. So you certainly would want, if there's a pathway you could stop that activity, you certainly would want to stop that activity. But we still have genes that can cause cancer. We have viruses that cause cancer. There's lots of causes. But if there's one cause that you can push back on, let's push back on it.
So I like the word pathway. So, and there's all these, because, that's, I always think of it like I have to be on the path. So I have to exercise every day. I have to do this. I have to eat right. And so this is whenever you're saying pathways, is there like certain pathways that you're looking at for everyone? Like, is there multiple pathways, or because I know you've got this figured out? Because I know with the Dutch hormone test,
right?
With the infusions, with the NAD, with all this stuff, if you're sitting there doing all these different things, is there like 10 different pathways I need to make sure, or 20, or?
Yeah, if somebody wanted to do a comprehensive thing, there's the hormone testing, there's the cardiovascular risk, there's the nutritional, there's the food sensitivity, and then the stool testing, the comprehensive stool testing to see how you're digesting. And that covers pretty much everything. And they have different pathways of what we're looking at. And the thing about medicine is like, you could test something, but if we don't know what it means, or if we can't do anything about it, it may not be the best test to run. But these pathways that we know a lot about, I embrace them. They're great. Let's talk about them. Let's look at them and do what we can. Well,
it's what the cool part is, like a normal doctor, and these business owners are doing this with their employees with healthcare, but you're just sitting there waiting for something bad to happen. And then when something bad happens, you run into a clinic, and then what are they going to do? Oh, okay, you need this. And all they do is just prescribe drugs to you.
Right. They're just band-aiding the symptom, not really
Right.
addressing the problem.
So as far as like a business owner, let's say they wanted to, because I've shared this with you before, like there's a business owner and they're like, I want to run all these tests and I want to make sure I'm absolutely super.
Yeah.
So they could become a part of and we encourage you and your employees to do this too. And you can save them tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Better healthcare and cost savings.
Yeah. So, but they should at least try it themselves and they could do all these tests.
Yeah.
Is it like a couple grand to get everything done?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a while, but I think it's just over 2,000 if somebody wanted to just I just want in and look at it all. We can do that. But the thing about healthcare is it's not one-stop shopping. You don't just go in, run a bunch of tests, and then you're done, because we're gonna tell you like, okay, we see this, we think you should do these things, but then like you really should be following up in a few months.
Yes.
What's working, what's not. Okay, let's adjust, let's nudge. We have a new symptom. And so healthcare, it's really, of course you can come and do all the tests. We'll give you all the results and give you a plan that's 10 pages long, and you'll try to stay on it, but you'll fall off the path in 2 to 3 months. And so it's helpful to kind of keep coming back for your health. Yeah,
because I would imagine whether you prescribe something or say, you can't eat this, with the food allergy test, or whether you're sitting in the infusion clinic doing NAD, things are going to change over time.
Yeah, we change. We're dynamic.
You're right. So. Yeah. Especially when you're introducing new things, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah. So we've tweaked, we're turning a knob, but we're so complex that when you turn one knob, all the other knobs shift a little bit the other direction. And so then we may have to turn another knob over here or down later or something. So
if somebody, because I have this, because I want to talk about this real quick, because this is NAD. If somebody doesn't want to sit there for 4 freaking hours,
right.
You have this patch, and then there's medicine. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's like a little circle. And we did a video on this. Yeah. And then what's inside of here? Is it like electrical? It looks electrical to me.
It is electrical. It's got a battery in it. You're charged. So NAD is not one of the substances that absorbs really great through the skin. It's also not a substance that's really conducive to oral. There's some precursors you can take. There's something called NMN, and there's nicotinamide riboside. Those
yes, I've heard. Yes.
Niacin itself, which causes a flush. So there are some precursors to NAD, but again, we're trying to skip some steps, and there might be pathways that are blocked that are keeping you from getting enough NAD plus, even if you're taking those supplements. But the patch is just one of the ways that we might be able to get your NAD up.
Right.
And it's definitely more subtle.
Yeah, right.
It's definitely, the infusion is definitely the best way to do it. But because it takes 4 hours and the infusion itself is expensive, it's an expensive infusion, and you really need to be doing them over and over and over again. And so the patch is one way that we might be able to do that more economically and less time intensive.
How often should you be doing the infusions?
Depends on what you're using it for. For substance abuse, it's every day for many days, like 17 days or something. And then if you're just doing it for exercise, you would just come in, see how long it helped you with your exercise. And if you get 4 or 5 days out of it, great. Then you would plan on every week, maybe.
Right. Yeah. And you said that it's pretty expensive. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's several $100s.
Because, so that would be something time. Some people, would be able to afford that, some not. Joe Rogan, of course.
Yes.
He just got $100 million with Spotify. So
how often does he do it? Do you know?
I would imagine if he's doing 1 or 2 shows, he's probably doing it once a week. I would imagine. I don't know. He talks about it occasionally, but he's always trying to be in competition with his time.
Yes.
And trying to get it quicker.
Yeah, I would think once a week would be what to expect. Maybe even go longer.
And then kind of go from there. But you would at least, would you want to do like, maybe once a week for a couple months and then kind of see how it goes?
Back off and see how you do.
And then see how you do.
If you're doing it for anti-aging, maybe twice a month, where you're just kind of maintaining and not really going after a particular symptom.
Have you had people that are above 60 doing it? 65?
Not in my clinic, but they certainly do.
Right. Because that would be something that would be
age group for anti-aging.
That would be really interesting to see on the senior side of things, how like energy levels and stuff like that. If it would be dramatic.
Yeah.
If you're doing this once a week, that would be well, cool. Well, I'm going to continue putting my patches on. I have I think I have 4 more left. or 3 more left, something like that. It's 18 days, right?
It seems like this should be patch 3.
But they can buy this from you, right? This
yes.
kit.
So that's basically a take-home kit. So
okay, cool.
You just buy the whole kit. It's 6 of them every 3 days, so it lasts about 18 days. So
perfect, awesome.
So, yeah.
NAD plus. There we go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Casey.
Sure.